Hey there! I'm launching a new segment called Power Tools for Mastering Your Inner Game today. And every month I will come up with 3 things that are powerful for you to discover. And each of these things will have a different application. So, for example, one could be an action item, one could be an affirmation, one could be aligned with a higher mind, and things like that. And it can absolutely be applied to your business and everyday life. And I want to fashion this segment after my other podcast called Your Weekly Dose of Higher Consciousness, where once a month or so I do a consciousness quiz to make you aware of powerful attractor fields that you can choose to use in your daily life. And it's also intended to help put things into context based on consciousness calibrations of different topics and things like that. So everything that exists in life can be measured as to its level of energy or its level of consciousness. Same thing. I'm going to use energy because it's kind of easier to grasp. Like, how much energy is there in a light bulb versus how much energy is there in a tank full of gas in a semi truck. So kind of use energy in that way just to make it a little more graspable. So I want to introduce you to 3 things, once a month that are all of higher mind and higher consciousness. And that's why I'm calling them power tools for mastering your inner game. But before we get into today's topic and I reveal the 3 power tools for this month's Mastering Your Inner Game episode, my name is Liz Garcia. I'm your happy, insightful, and perceptive host of Athena Arena Radio.com. Welcome to episode 16 of the Athena Arena podcast, which is the content and digital marketing strategy academy for aspiring 6, 7, and 8-figure, what I call Wonder Woman brands, and mastering your inner game. And for all you brilliant men out there, don't be fooled by the whole Wonder Woman thing. This is meant for you too. So as I said, today is a Mastering Your Inner Game episode, and my intention is to alternate week to week. One week we'll do marketing and business related topics, and the week after that we'll look at the Mastering Your Inner Game, because this is really what needs to happen. Master the inner game and the rest takes care of itself. The marketing, the business, the success, the growth, the expansion, the fun, the goodness, everything you could want in your life comes from what's going on inside of you. So let's get to it. First, I want to introduce you to the 3 topics that I found on consciousnesscalibrations.com, which is a subscription website I belong to, but you can sign up for a free subscription. And Brian, the gentleman who created it and does all the calibrations, says that 75% of the calibrations he does are available for you to look for free. And it's so interesting when you start to read calibrations that when you're reading the truth or energy of something that is high vibe, you kind of settle into this kind of inner peace, acceptance, and neutral energy about anything, because you're coming into the awareness of the energy of things and where there's truth and where there isn't truth. Like, you can feel the difference. So we're looking at the energy field and consciousness calibrations of number 1. And I want you to listen to this because I want you to think about it and maybe get a little piece of paper and a pencil and write down each one of these and decide which one do you think is of highest consciousness. So the first one is creating a to-do list that you are making and complete daily. This is not just making the list. This is you're making it and you complete it daily. And there's an affirmation I've been using for quite some time now, and it came across my plate with a calibration, which was super interesting because whenever I get into, torn twisted up in a knot, or there's some sort of disruptive energy or anger or emotion, whatever is coming up, which I know better than to bury it, I allow it to come up. But I use the affirmation, "This too shall pass." And the energy of this tends to settle me down and unravel the disruptive energy. So that's the next one. Put this down, number 2. And you can say right now, does creating a to-do list seem like a higher vibration, a higher consciousness thing than the affirmation, "This too shall pass"? Like, let's start thinking about that while I tell you the next one. So the statement, and I chose this one for this first episode because it's really about this topic. The statement, "Your only responsibility is alignment with the truth." And that's the whole point of these power tools for mastering your inner game and my quiz. It's like, okay, you want to, it makes sense to align with the truth and consciousness. What's truth? What's not? Opinions and judgments cannot be trusted because the lower mind and the ego, which is of lower nature and lower consciousness, gets in the way of it all. So those are the 3. And put those in order, which you think is of the highest consciousness. Is it creating a to-do list and complete it daily? Is it the affirmation, "This too shall pass"? Or is it the statement, "Your only responsibility is alignment with the truth"? And then we'll see how intuitive or discerning you are about the energy of each one of these things. So write it down from the highest level of consciousness to the lowest, and let's see how you're doing. And that's the point of this. Put things into context so that you can start to integrate what you're learning and kind of shore up your own energy field with understanding. So I do want to remind you that higher consciousness does not make a thing better at all. It's just a different energy. It's a different type of energy requirement. And you don't need to have the highest level of energy to do what you want to do, be who you want to be, on the map. So the map of spiritual progress is 0 to 1,000 is the scale of human consciousness. Anything above 200 is of higher consciousness. Anything below is of lower consciousness. Anything above 275 is of higher mind. Anything below 275 is of lower mind. So let me just give you an example to help make this whole consciousness thing a little easier to grasp. So let's say you're going to drive to the corner store and buy a gallon of milk. Pretty simple task. How much energy do you need to do that? It requires a certain amount of energy. Versus, you need to drive to the airport, hop on a plane for your trip around the world. That's something different. And never mind the energy you require in the body. You need energy in the body and the mind to do all this. There needs to be some level of consciousness to even get this done. And if you're mentally disabled, you're going to have a hard time doing any of them. So this is I just want to show you that you're not going to judge what the energy is because it is what it is. It's what's required. So never mind the energy required in your body. Let's just consider the technology, logistics, and primary fuel needed in the cars and the airplane to get you where you want to go. It's kind of like looking at it that simply. It's just energy. What kind of energy is needed to get me where I want to go? One requires far more energy and consciousness to complete each one of those tasks, right? And that required consciousness goes way beyond the obvious and the linear. So if you look, and I don't want to get too deep in this and send you reeling like a deer in the headlight, but just consider somebody that's going to hop on a plane and travel around the world has very different circumstances and, levels of consciousness that would allow them to do that versus someone who just needs to go get a gallon of milk, right? Who could be poverty stricken, needs to take care of the kids, and just going to go get a gallon of milk to get the kids through the week. So that's what I mean by, you got to look, if you really want to look into things and become the seeker of the truth, you got to look beyond the obvious and the linear, like what's going on there. So I just want to lay the groundwork for these topics so you understand what I'm sharing, and moving forward, these power tools, you're going to understand. I'll repeat this so you start to get it every time I do it, but it's a little hard to grasp, and not everyone has come across the topic of consciousness calibrations and measuring the energy of everything. So let's take a mini dive into each topic, and then I'll share the consciousness calibrations of each one and why they're significant. So again, the 3 power tools for mastering your inner game today are A, creating a to-do list that you're making and complete daily. B is the affirmation I use a lot is this too shall pass. And the statement, your only responsibility is alignment with the truth. And we'll test, at what level of truth are all of these. So, creating a to-do list that you are making and complete daily calibrates at 320 on the scale of human consciousness and the spiritual map of progress per consciousnesscalibrations.com. 320 is huge, right? And it may be simple for you guys, or ladies or gentlemen that make to-do lists all the time, but realize you're doing something significant to master your inner game by doing this. You're staying on track with your intentions for the day. And you may not complete it every day, but the intention to complete it, you'll just change what the list looks like so that you're realistic about what you can get done in a day, which is, I'm going through that right now. I cannot get done what I intend to every day. It is not realistic. So I have to change it and accept there's only so much I can do in a day. And then I got to decide, prioritize my stuff. So 320 on the scale of human consciousness is a quantum leap above willingness, which is a huge willingness and intention are very high levels of consciousness relative to the rest of the world. Let's just put it that way. And remember, the consciousness of about 80% of the world is below 200, just to put it all into context. So when you're applying something like this in your business and your daily life, 320 has the energy and the magnetic attractor field to support you in your efforts to complete this and stay on track with this is also of higher mind too, to do this. So keep up the good work, and if you're not creating lists, this is going to help you get disciplined and aligned with the energy of your intent to be successful in your life at completing tasks or getting work done or taking care of your family, whatever it may be. So 320 on the map of spiritual progress and scale of human consciousness. Same map, just different words. If you're more spiritually minded, everything is spiritual, just so you know. But not everyone is spiritually minded. So just the scale of human consciousness for some of you is easier to grasp. All right. So 320 for that calibration, and I'll have a link below. You can go look at it on consciousnesscalibrations.com. And I think the energy of that you actually complete it likely has a higher calibration than just creating the list. So making the list may be one calibration, but making it and completing it is likely another. So there's a higher intent in this task, so to actually complete it. So there's a difference. There wasn't a calibration of just creating the list. This is the calibration for making it and completing it. Okay. The next affirmation that I've been using quite often to great success is the statement, this too shall pass. And per a Wikipedia definition, what this means is this reflects on the temporary nature or ephemerality of the human condition, that neither the bad nor good moments in life ever last indefinitely. And if you have a tendency to have negative emotions come up, which is really just an indication that they need to be released, this too shall pass. And in fact, the mechanism of letting go, which is what I practice and speak about and read about, is this. So when I invite life to help me let go of lower consciousness, and I feel it shows up, and I'm like feeling it and not loving it, I understand I need to be with it. I have to be with it to let it go. When I just say this too shall pass, it passes fairly quickly. So the calibration of this, did I say it already, is 490, which is huge. 490 on the scale of human consciousness and map of spiritual progress, which 490 is really someone who is interested in their own spiritual growth and wanting to align with a higher nature. 490 is huge. It's entering the domain of spirit, which is in the 500s, which is still a quantum leap up because the scale is logarithmic. So 490 is 10 to the 490th power versus creating a to-do list at 320, which is 10 to the 320th power. So the two, it's a quantum leap up in energy and truth and power to use this. So whenever you get into some moments where you're wanting to suppress and repress things and express, it's better to be with the discomfort of it all and invite this in. You can do it silently if you're in a room with people that are bugging you, or I do it out loud when I'm alone, or I think it. I usually think it. I'm like, this too shall pass. And I like to, and I say, I'm willing to allow this old energy that's been stuck in my energy field my whole life to come out. I'm not going to suppress it anymore. I'm not going to repress it anymore. I'm going to allow it to be, and I do say this too shall pass. And I want you to look at each of these energy fields as giant magnets. And when you set your compass to this particular magnet, you're inviting the energy that can offset the negativity quickly, because negative emotions don't hold a candle to this. Like, negative emotions are below 200. So let's say you're angry, which is like, I think it's 150 to be angry on the map. 10 to the 150th power, which is negatively oriented, versus 10 to the 490th power. You cannot hold a candle in that energy field to anger. This too shall pass. That energy in the field of anger is going to dissipate quickly, unless you really want to juice your ego and remain angry. Like, just say this too shall pass and allow that powerful magnet of energy to kind of break up the energy of the anger, whatever it may be, or whatever it is. So, super powerful field to use this affirmation, this too shall pass. And there was a counterpoint to this, which I wanted to share. And the counterpoint to this is that which is timeless does not pass. So we're not going to talk about that. You can just sit with that one. It's a good journal entry. Okay, lastly, the statement, your only responsibility is alignment with the truth. How do you feel this statement, the energy of this, relates to the other two? Put it into context. Does it feel higher or lower than the other two? And where would you put it on the list? So, the calibration of this is 460 on the scale of human consciousness and the map of spiritual progress per consciousnesscalibrations.com, which is lower than the this too shall pass energy, but it's still high energy, very high energy. And if you want to align with true power in life, this is the good one to choose. And it's interesting that according to consciousness calibrations, only 2% of the planet's population cares about the truth. And this is high level truth, right? You don't have to be a Jesus or a Buddha to align with this level of truth and want it in your life, because you're only going to align with superpowers, right? This is superpower land, not ego land, superpower land, which doesn't mean you can't have what you want in life. It doesn't mean that at all. You're likely to have everything you want in life when you align with the truth and you have a good time doing it. So what's interesting is 460 on the scale of consciousness is the level of consciousness or the energy field known as excellence. Super high vibe. People at this level of consciousness are highly accomplished at whatever they have become, right? If you're a scientist, a researcher, an accountant, a chef, whatever it is that you become, and you master your field, this is the level that you're working with, which is rare. And it's interesting. There's a mantra of excellence that is the same energy field, same calibration. And the mantra of excellence is, the pursuit of truth is an end undertaken for its own sake. So something you can choose, right? You can choose, and I'm going to do a whole podcast about the power in choosing, because I'm using it in my life, and it came across as a calibration. I'm like, holy crow, I'm going to use this in my life, because it's like finesse the field. That's what I like to say. And Dr. Hawkins would advise the same thing. Finesse the fields, get out of your head, choose the power over the lower. Like, don't choose the lower anymore, though you're still bound to experience it and you're still bound to feel it. It's just when you invite in the truth, that which holds no truth, which is typically lower consciousness, is going to come up and want to be released from within you. That's essentially my understanding of what's the process here. So I came across this calibration on the website, consciousnesscalibrations.com, and I can't find it right now. But it essentially has to do with when you come into the awareness of consciousness calibrations, like I'm introducing to you today, and you realize that you want to choose things based on calibrations, right? You're making intelligent choices now, informed choices, that because choosing something in this is of a higher mind to do. If there's higher mind, higher intent, higher alignment, the calibration of choosing because you became aware of the higher calibration calibrates at a high level. It's a power play in consciousness to do this. So I just couldn't find the darn thing, and I'll have to find it, and I'll remember it, and I'll share it again someday. But you can try to find it if you go to consciousnesscalibrations.com. This could be on your to-do list, right? Is to choose energy fields of higher consciousness, right? Choose to align with the truth at whatever level you're at. So everything above 200 all the way up to 1,000 holds a particular level of what I would understand it to be spiritual truth, right? There's some level of truth at every level, and you are at wherever you are at right now. So that's it for this episode of Mastering Your Inner Game. Power tools for mastering your inner game. And the quiz. I hope you did well on the quiz. And the more you do, the better you're going to get, the more aligned you're going to get, and the more aligned energetically you're going to become within your own energy field, because you're not guessing anymore. You're receiving calibrations that hold truth and power. So next week, we're going to talk about lead magnets and generating leads for your business. If you like what's going on here, please share it with family and friends, co-workers, people that are building a business that want to succeed in life. We're providing the foundational basics for you here for mastering your inner game, which really is the key to success in the rest of your business and your life. And I will see you again next week.